Hey everyone, it's yours truly, Coach Jesse Steve, and I'm excited to announce our first official video episode. So you can catch me on Spotify or YouTube. But with that being said, I had the opportunity to sit down with such a cool member from our gym. His name is Chris Mangakis. And what we actually talked about was his lessons learned from childhood, passed down by his dad, to building a career not through just hard work, but through visualization, and to becoming a leader and a family man. In this episode, we talk about growth, perspective, and gratitude. And I can't wait for you guys to hear his story. So let's get into it and introduce Chris Mangakis.
So maybe I'll start with a little bit of my story.
Yeah. So
yeah, if you want.
who is Chris Mangakis?
Yeah.
Who are you?
Who knows? Still figuring that out. Listen, man, I'm just a kid from Long Island who, grew up with simple means. I'm the oldest of three children, son of a entrepreneur in the food business. So my dad growing up had convenience stores and delis, and before I was born, even when I was young, he had a couple restaurants. He comes from a very tough upbringing. Like his household was a difficult place. He had a loving mother, but he was born into, his mother was very young when my grandmother was very young when she had him, and his dad was, an alcoholic, kind of gambler, abusive, and wasn't really there for him. But, so he didn't grow up with a lot of really good guidance on like what it meant to be a father and a man. And so he had to kind of figure it out for himself, but he was always very ambitious. And, so growing up, like an entrepreneur's life is challenging. Like you're always, ups and downs and ventures, and, he had built something really big and it didn't work out, and he kind of had to start all over, and we moved around a lot. And like the way I think I experienced that as a young kid, especially being the oldest, like when we were going through it a lot, was like just angst of like this lack of, like I felt a lack of stability. Like we were just always doing something different. We moved around a ton of Long Island. We actually moved down to Florida at one point. And I saw also the strain that it put on my parents' relationship, both financially and just like, romantically. As my siblings were born, my mom ended up going back to work. But like my parents always like kept it together for the family. Like they always like, we had a great upbringing, despite like my childhood, maybe lack of maturity or immaturity of like, oh, well, we live in this area, but we don't have this car, we don't have this house, we don't go on these nice trips. I worked when I was growing up, alongside my dad. Like I was in, like when he was in between a couple of ventures, I mean, we were throwing newspapers at 4 o'clock in the morning. We'd go to like the place in Huntington and pack newspapers, and we'd drive around the nice neighborhoods, and I'd look at those houses, and they'd have an effect on me. And like I felt at that moment, like in many other moments, I just don't want to have to do this the way that my dad's doing it. I want to figure out how I'm going to avoid this sort of, these sort of problems in my life in the future. But like when I was still too young to really know how to do that. And it just kind of grew into resentment from my parents. Like they were pushing me to work. They were pushing me to become a lifeguard. They were pushing me to do well in school. At the same time, I'm seeing them like go through their own challenges. And it wasn't until I got to college that like my brain sort of grew up and kind of clicked. And I looked and I reflected on, the last 18 years of my life, 17 years of my life. And it's like, Jesus, like what I used to feel like were weaknesses, like we don't have this, we don't have that. I have to work. That sucks. Why are my parents always like so strict with me? Why are they forcing me into becoming a lifeguard? It's like I've adapted a ton because we moved around a lot. I've learned a ton of responsibility. I've learned the value of money. I have a work ethic, and I looked at it. I was like, I don't think. I felt like my like situation was unique in that I built those skills going into college. And I was like, well, I'm just gonna go. I had this realization, like I'm appreciative of what my parents did. No one's going to give anything to you, so go out and do it yourself. And like that was a major mindset shift of taking responsibility. There's no safety net. All right, this world is out there. Like you're gonna go make it happen yourself. And like I was like, yeah, I can work full time while going to college full time. Why not? I've been doing that my entire life. And so I worked my way through college. I actually got my first job before I graduated. like full-time salaried position at a small startup outside of Boston. And like the rest is history. I just like kept, that mindset of like, it's going to be me. I'm going to make bet on myself. And I've continued to make bets on myself. And I think that's something that a lot of people don't, many people don't do enough for themselves. And it's a disservice. Like make bets on yourself, put yourself into the world, go knock into it and figure it out yourself.
Yeah. And that kind of reminds me of something that I've also discussed with another member of ours.
Yeah.
And we were discussing how freeing or empowering it is once you stop blaming others for what your life has been or
exactly
what you've gone through, all the traumatic things. Once you kind of let go of that responsibility onto others and just say, okay, I was given these cards that I was dealt with.
Yeah.
So
what am I going to do about it?
What am I going to do about it?
Yeah.
Exactly.
I'm just going to sit here and bitch?
Yeah.
Because like even last week, I caught myself like feeling like something was pissing me off. And I was catching myself feeling like a victim. And I was annoyed that I was feeling that way. I was like, what do you mean? Like you, first of all, have an incredible, beautiful family and so many things to be grateful for. Stop complaining. You put yourself here. Now you figure it out. Like, and press on and again, make that bet in yourself. You know what you're capable of and just keep pressing forward.
Right. And I think that was the biggest thing. And that will continue to be a big theme of mine as I'm sure I'll go through in life, is that you'll always be tested and you'll always be somewhat positioned somewhat in a corner.
Yeah.
And we inevitably are able to get ourselves out of that.
Yes.
At least from what I've gathered from my parents' history of all these shortcomings that they dealt with, all these rejections or things that were just very hard. Even up until this point, they managed to persevere and push through.
Yeah.
And it's something that definitely inspires me and why I'm so adamant about finding my purpose is because I would say, and my parents could maybe agree with me, that their main goal in life was, once they had me, was to give me every opportunity they could. Even if I was so selfish and I was so naive and
you're just
I was a pain in the butt, that they were given the tools that they had and they made it work.
Well, that's because the love of a child, the love you have for your children is unlike anything else. So I would sacrifice whatever I needed to do for Julian and Morgan and the family. So it's that same thing with my parents too. Like they had a bunch of shortcomings and setbacks, but their purpose was to help their children be in a better position than they were and do whatever they can to make that happen.
And I definitely like to talk a little bit more about your family life, your personal family life.
Yeah, sure.
But I kind of want to go back to kind of your dad being an entrepreneur.
Yeah, let's do it.
With him going through that, what was something that you learned very significantly that you kind of carried into your life as a positive?
Yeah. A couple things. One is like doing the hard things first was always something that he instilled upon me. And
so eating your vegetables first.
Yeah, eat your vegetables first. But like
that's kind of like
don't procrastinate. Like like do the hard things and get them out of the way, and don't leave them for some other time. I think another one is just like his just his ambition, and just no matter what the setback was, like he was getting up every day and fighting and making it happen. So just like never giving up, like no matter what. And even to this day, I mean, he's 75 years old. He's still doing his thing. And so I think his energy has just been really inspiring, even at a really older age. Like he looks amazing. He's in great shape. He's still like doing really like incredible things for himself. So yeah, I would say, doing the hard things first and just like maintaining, a forward direction with a ton of energy and ambition.
Can you recall a specific time where maybe sometime recently where you really followed suit with that same type of
Yeah.
mentality where you were very ambitious or you like really put the hard things first?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think like, I think I apply it to, to my personal life with Julian and the kids first, like as a way of, translating that. So no matter what is going on, I think what's helped us really function really well as a family is just maintaining a routine, even through like things that might be a bit chaotic. So adding a new baby, stuff with work, like not allowing the noise to get in the way of the things that need to get done for this house to run effectively. And so no matter, as an example, more specifically, I think I always make sure that the kids are, every single night, we have a very, very solid bedtime routine. And there's many days where I'm exhausted. I don't feel like showering. Because I'll shower with both of them. And then read the stories and do the rituals. And so I call it a hard thing. It's really like a labor of love. But it's like just the consistency of doing that over and over and over again to give them stability, to give them tranquility, to be a moment at the end of a long day where they know what to expect. It's going to be like, Dad's got the bedtime show. We're going to have a relaxing kind of come down from the day. They know they're going to get the showered, put in their PJs and read bedtime stories. On the work side, I mean, I start just putting the hard things first. Like it starts with CrossFit in the morning, despite my tardiness. It's like, doing like that. That's a really good example of putting the hard things first. And then coming home and making sure that, we kind of get the household up and running. There's then the whole work day. And there's pieces of the career we can talk about, but it's like, before I wind down for the night, call it like maybe one of the last things, but it's still like the first thing before the first last thing I do before I relax is, I made sure I was studying for my master's program, which I just finished. So
Congratulations.
Thanks, man. Yeah. Hopefully the diploma shows up sometime in the next couple of weeks. But yeah, like before I was able to relax and kind of give myself a moment to myself, I made sure like I took care of all my responsibilities.
Yeah. And I definitely find that to be very true in any kind of life that you want to lead.
Yeah.
Is I heard it somewhere, but go through the hard now while you still can, because there will be a time when you're unable to do these things and you're like, man, I wish I could do those.
Oh my gosh.
So
yeah, absolutely. We take those things for granted, right?
Yeah.
Like even small injuries.
Right.
Like it's not maybe exactly the example you're thinking of, but or like thinking about. But when you have those small setbacks, you remember the moments when you had it and you didn't.
Yeah.
You didn't appreciate it.
It's just like when you have a stuffy nose.
Yeah,
You're like, oh man, I remember the times when I can breathe easier.
I scratched my freaking cornea and I was like blinking for like a week. You probably I remember. And even in the gym, I was like, God, like just to be able to see normally. But I think what you're touching on, which is a really important thing that I talk about to a bunch of people in the company, is like discipline. Discipline creates freedom. Becomes second nature. Once you have discipline towards something and you commit to that, it actually opens up a ton of freedom because it no longer feels like work.
Yeah.
So.
Mm-hmm. No, I like that. Now kind of circling back to your upbringing, because it's definitely similar to how I kind of viewed life, because you said that in between ventures of your father's, where you would move frequently, you said that you would go around and just deliver newspapers.
Yeah.
And you would go on Long Island, and I grew up not too far from where you live right now. And I remember just being in a place and saying, man, that's a big house.
Yeah.
What do I have to do to get to that house?
Yeah.
It just seemed like a dream.
Yeah.
But if there's anything that gives me confirmation that those things are achievable, is just being where you are right now, here in this beautiful home of yours.
Yeah.
I would say that it seems that your dream came true. Like, oh, I want this house. You worked your way to get to this position.
Yeah.
So what would you say, aside from what you learned from your dad, what would you say has been a significant perspective or mindset
Yes.
that you adopted or maybe created on your own to this,
Yes.
to
It's a great
your
question.
success?
It's visualization, like really clarity on what does it look like when you're in that house? What does it feel like? What does it smell like? What are you doing? Like, can you imagine the life that you're living when you're doing that? That is, and it started when I started recognizing that. I actually get chills. I'm getting chills talking about it because it started with small things. Like when I was working in college, I used to think like, cool, like I see myself doing this, or I've acquired this thing. How do I feel when I acquire that thing? What am I doing? How is my life different? And it was like, it started by like, I wanted to really break, I was still working in retail while I was in college, and I wanted to break into the business world. And like at the time, a big like, I guess a symbol of business was like you had a BlackBerry,
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, whoa, cool. Like if I have a BlackBerry, that means I'm like doing business. Right? But so I was like, okay, well, like more important things are being done on that BlackBerry than what I'm doing selling massage chairs here, probably. How do I get there? And so it was like, I started thinking about like, well, what would I be doing if I was that person? And that's what led me to when I was in, it was a year before I graduated from college, like the summer going into my senior year in the fall, that I had that idea. And then, started reaching out on LinkedIn to people. I'm like, hey, I'm graduating in a year. I want to find an internship. And out of the hundreds of things that I sent out, one person responded. And so I'll come back to the story, but like it is the visualization of like when you're thinking about the life that you want to live, can you put yourself there? Can you smell that room? Can you feel the grass? What does it feel when you knock on the door? And it started like with those small things like the BlackBerry. I eventually got that, and a bunch of other little things. When I bought my first house in Huntington, it's really funny. Eric and I were gonna get married, and we were like driving around, and we were driving up around a neighborhood up the road, off a street called School Lane on Fox Meadow, and this neighborhood blew me away. I was driving through, it's just like big sprawling pieces of land and beautiful homes, and I was like, man, like we got to live here. And in a year and a half later, we lived in that neighborhood. And it was through, again, I think like just keeping that mindset. And so it's like and I try to give this advice to people. It's keeping the big thing in your mind that is like the thing to chase, and like continue to clarify what that is, and then doing whatever the hell you can to be the best at what's right in front of you right now.
Yeah.
And taking small, like I think Arnold Schwarzenegger talks about like taking small chunks of big goals and chunking it down. It's like, just do as best you can, be the best, be relentless. Don't lose sight of the bigger goal, but show up every fucking day, with that determination that you're going to get there, and the belief and the self-confidence, which comes after you start like stringing together some of those smaller things.
Of course.
But so it's really a power of visualization.
I like how you put that into visualization.
Yeah.
It's because I've definitely heard that.
And
I've
manifest your
and I feel like I've definitely implemented that more recently in my life, to more of what is the version of Jesse that I can be very proud of.
Yeah.
And I look back onto a lot of things that Jesse is someone who's empathetic, who's understanding, who's patient.
Yeah.
And who's communicative,
he's got great thighs.
Oh, check. Thanks, but all these things that I was not.
Yeah.
I was not.
Yeah.
And then it came to a point where I said, okay, if I want to be those things, how would that future Jesse act?
Yeah, exactly.
How would he be? And that's when I started adopting things. I guess more recently, because it's been maybe a hard thing to let go. And this is me being very vulnerable to not just you, but anyone who's listening in the episode right now. But I dated Chelsea for a quick instant from the gym. And it wasn't a very long relationship, maybe 4 to 6 months. But in the meantime, it took so long for me to not only just move on from that, but to also let go of whatever I was holding on to.
Yeah.
And I think it was more so just letting go of the thought of rejection, the thought of abandonment, because one, I just felt like I was unworthy of love. And two, I just felt that she was a person that was a very good thing in my life, and I only saw how I would sabotage or how it would ruin it, so I ended up sabotaging the relationship and whatnot. But aside from any of that, I think most recently is now our relationship is so much, I'd say, in a better position now that I've had time to let go and kind of had that self-realization that we were never against each other.
Yeah.
We were supposed to be kind of with each other. And I kind of was always against the grain on that relationship. And I feel where I found a lot of growth within myself is she's now dating and looking to find that person that is for her.
Yeah.
And I'm nothing more like a fan. Like, I'm rooting
Cheer
for her.
her, yeah.
Like, I'm like, hell yeah, Chelsea, you're meeting this person, you're going
That's
on that
great.
date, or you're going to see them. And I'm just so excited for her.
Amazing.
And I know she shares that same enthusiasm for me, whenever my time will come.
Yeah.
But I could never imagine myself doing that. But I kind of visualize that, okay, if I'm a person who's empathetic and who's caring, who's loving, how would that Jesse be? And that Jesse would not have any quarrels with any past relationships if I can do my best. Like, if it's not too
of course things have
a detriment. But and I felt like
that's great.
I've been able to obtain that through Chelsea, and not even just her, but I also have another ex of mine, Tiffany from Ohio, and both of us thought that we hurt each other so bad, so drastically, that there was no way of coming back from it. And she texted me, I mean, this is like 2 years ago now, but she texted me saying, I'm so sorry. And I was like, what are you sorry about? I thought I was I was the person that was being a jerk. And it just so happened that we were able to kind of find amends with one another, find resolution, and we met up just as friends. And
that's awesome.
We were like, man, why couldn't we be this way at the beginning?
We missed out. Well, because you couldn't. You needed to go through that.
Exactly. And we needed to go through that. And just like any other hard time, you may not see it right there from the get-go, but after doing that self-analysis and kind of repeating what you said or what you've gone through, then you find resolution, you find that lesson that it was bound to teach you eventually.
It's like, the line of progress is not straight.
No,
it's not really linear.
It's
like
linear.
Up, down, zags. Like,
I mean, if there's anything, I can relate that to running, because I hate running. Right now, I'm training for a marathon, but there are days where I'm really for that workout, whatever I'm doing, and I'm saying, all right, let's get after it. And other days, I'm not feeling my best, or it's too hot. And there's no worse thing than training in humidity in the summer.
God, especially running.
But no, it's never linear. Especially you have these inclines, you have these declines, and you have to just face it as best as possible, and you have to just keep pushing yourself. Because I think for me, my goal is just to never stop, just to keep learning, growing, and pushing.
And that's an important mindset too. Is like remaining. I think the other important thing I try to talk to people about is like always keeping learning a learning mindset. Like, and that's like where, and it's hard to do that if you haven't gotten comfortable with your own vulnerability. If you can't be authentic, then you're trying to like hide or conceal or wear a mask of something that you aren't, instead of being like just okay with your setbacks. And also like, realizing that you've got a lot of things that you can teach other people too. You don't have to know everything. I mean, the most successful people in the world are the ones who constantly put themselves in the room where they know the least so that they can learn. So I think that's a really awesome mindset.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm sure you can attest to this, but there's definitely truth in being surrounded by people who know more than you, and just
Oh yeah.
having a just acting as a sponge and absorbing all this information and being able to continuously learn.
Yeah.
I think that shows a lot of growth and value to anyone else that will be learning from you.
I was going to say, to add to that would be, but just don't, not at the expense of what you know and what you can also bring, right?
Mhm.
You know, you don't want to completely relinquish, you know, your everything to, you know, to things. You want to be able to keep your core like, hey, this is like, because no one's experienced what you've experienced personally. And there's things that you know and you can bring that others just, you know, don't know. And so there's tons of value in what you can also, you know, bring to the table. And that's also like what I'm sort of like, I'm looking a lot of this conversation through the lens of what I do because it's so relevant. It's like when I'm talking to people, it's also like, hey, and by the way, we haven't figured it all out yet. So like, we need your brain. That's why we're talking to you. Like, you're the top 10% of whatever to come help us. And so, yeah, like it's important to like keep yourself mentally there too. Like, there's also a ton of value that you can also help with other
And I
people.
think that's what's great about working on a team. For example, being part of the peak community and being part of
Yeah.
the staff. We have so many different coaches,
Yeah.
new and veteran, that have been doing it, and they provide different skill sets based
Oh
off
yeah.
of what they do career-wise. Some are teachers,
Yep.
some are very competitive athletes,
Yep.
and some have no idea of
Yeah.
just anything related.
Totally unrelated.
to-
Yeah.
Yeah, totally unrelated. But what they have, they can definitely take charge of the room. I
And
think
yet,
it's so
there's a
cool.
lot of commonality across, you know, the group. Like, it's like goes back to people who are like positive, who want to win, who are helpful, care about each other. I mean, Peak has been like a real sanctuary for me for many years. I mean, I've been going, I don't even know how long, and seen it through it multiple transitions, which is hard as a gym. Like, the gym has successfully gone through multiple transitions of ownership successfully, and maintaining still some really core, you know, great, you know, and new, so like you said, legacy and new coaches, which is awesome. That's hard to do, and it doesn't happen without, you know, great foundation and a strong community. So very thankful for it. It's probably the, you know, I was at CrossFit Limitless in Huntington for a while, then Bastion, then the other one in Syosset. But I think this has been the longest I've been at a single CrossFit box on Long Island. So it's awesome.
Yeah, and I think what's cool is that you weren't there alone,
Yeah.
because you had your brother there.
Yes. Yeah.
And you had your brother Nicholas there.
Yes.
And I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah. Man.
Remind me, did you bring him over?
No, he brought me over.
Brought you over.
He was kind of like, dude, come on, you gotta like come. And he was also the one who got me to like start working out in the morning, actually. Because I was always like an afternoon person. And now I'm like only a morning person. There's also like there's a necessity to that with children and family, but I also feel my best. Like, I still, even on days that I don't come or I can't make it for whatever reason, I'm still up in the morning at that time, and I feel my best physically now because I've just like done it for so long. So yeah, it's nothing better than the morning, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. So let's dive a little bit into your family life, because I
Yeah,
think
sure.
you have like the cutest kids
Thanks,
that
man.
you post. I mean, your little one Julian,
Yeah.
he has the best hair, I would
Oh,
say.
I'm so glad he was blessed with like genes different than me from both sides of the family. So like on my mom's side, so my mom's got this curly wavy hair, and her sister has like insane, like curly, like huge hair. So that's where he gets that from. And then Erica's grandfather and her father have great, huge, like her father still has an amazing head of hair. So you say like you get your grandfather's like, you know, retention. So I got screwed on both sides of that because both my grandfathers were bald. So I'm done for. But he's got now his grandfather on Erica's side to keep it, and then he's got all the cool, you know, like curls from my mom's side. So listen, it's hard to really put into words what it means to, what it's meant to me to become a dad. I think it's the best job in the world.
Did you ever imagine yourself like, I want to be a dad? Or It doesn't really
I
feel that way until it actually happens.
Yeah, I think we all, like, if you grew up in a traditional family, like, which I did, you know, you think that one day you'll go have kids, but like, actually, when Eric and I met, we talked about family in the future, and our sort of understanding early on was, kids would be great, but we're also like, hey, if we choose not to, like, we're also both okay with that. And so we were married for over 6 years before we had kids. So we got a chance to see the world and build a really strong foundation together. And you know, I remember the moment that I was like, of course I want to have kids. I was like sitting, again, visualization, you know, like I was sitting up in bed one night at our other house that we lived in down the road. It was a night after a long day, and I don't remember exactly why I was thinking this way, but we had these like French doors that opened to the master, and they were like kind of mostly closed, so like cracked open. And for whatever reason, in that moment, I just imagined like a little person opening the door and like running in.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. So it's like, it was like it must be like what's it called? A evolutionary thing that like at some point, like there's that clicks in your mind. And of course, there's other extenuating factors like that we had, you know, what I like to say is like I got totally like, sick of myself, and it felt like I wanted to, you know, was ready to pour my energy into, and I think Erica too, into something else. And how amazing would it be to create something like that together? And then, you know, so you think of that and you go through the process, and then when the baby comes, it's like trying to like put this into a way that I can explain how I was feeling, but there was something so surreal. I remember when was just born, and I saw his hands, and his hands were moving, and I could see his little fingers, and you know, just like
this is a dream that you're at.
No. This is like when he was actually born.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry. I transitioned to like,
sorry.
No, going from like visualizing that to like, you think like, you know, so you go through the process of thinking of what it would be like to have a family, and then going through the process of getting pregnant. And, you know, you still are like, you're excited, but you don't know what it feels like to be a parent yet. And I think like the moment Julian was born and I saw his little hands moving, I had this like another moment of realization, like, wow, I'm the least important person in this room right now, and that's awesome. And like I just felt this like incredible duty to like do whatever I could to protect this beautiful life. And man, it is the most incredible, beautiful thing in the world to be able to bring such beautiful life, and to have that responsibility is like, I take it very seriously, and I just really enjoy it. I love parenting. I love the hard stuff too. Like this morning we were making pancakes or waffles. I'm like, all right, Julian, like mix the waffle. And he's like, you know, he's mixing the batter. He's getting it all over the fucking place. but it's like fun. Like I don't look at that moment and get mad at him. Like he's learning, and like I'm having a moment with him. Or the other day I took him out on the boat, and we have this little routine now where like he and I will just go out on the boat, and we'll drive to Northport Harbor, and we'll tie up, and we'll get off the boat, we'll walk into town, we'll have lunch. And you know, he's sitting with me on the ride back, and you know, the sun's shining, he's got his little sunglasses on, the hair's blowing, and you know, he turns to me, he goes, Dad, can we do this every day? And I almost like started bawling at that moment. Like there just aren't things, it's so hard to put into words. It's the most incredible thing, and I hope that you get to experience it one day if you decide.
Oh, that's definitely something that I'll now and again visualize, or just kind of like have a time to pause and just think about.
Yeah.
For me, I think with my upbringing, it was very tough. My dad wasn't around, and it was just me and my mom for a very long time. Even if she would have relationships here and there, I knew that it was just me, and I kind of missed that out somewhat on that experience of having a dad.
Yeah.
But to witness that through you and through other members in our gym, and definitely ones that are really adamant of like, I love being a dad. Like, not a lot of dads within our gym community and who I've known as friends who are dads too. It's just a whole nother different experience, and you can't really understand until you actually lived it and you're living it. But for me, I definitely want to be a dad who'll be present,
Yeah.
to just be there, not only just as a protector, but as a provider, as someone who gives the greatest life lessons and
Yes.
whatnot. So if anything I get out of this podcast and however long I keep doing it is just a place to just gain this knowledge and to bestow this knowledge onto my child whenever that time comes. But
Well, that's great. I mean, despite working with my dad, we're not very we were not very close. Like he wasn't around much. He was definitely not emotionally available. And to this day, he doesn't really know what I do. He's not a very curious person. Like he's never been like, hey, Chris, let's go out and like have dinner. Like I want to, he's never really like we had an interesting moment kind of growing up where I surpassed his success like pretty early. And I think some of that, like, I understand, like if I put I want to take this part of the discussion kind of to an interesting place maybe for a second, which is like, I think maybe felt a bit, it was hard for him to, I think, like going through what had gone through to not really like have the success that he wanted. And I think it was hard for him to be happy for me for a while. I think like he was kind of, which was a very tough feeling for me to feel. Like I thought like my dad would be the one who'd be my biggest supporter. And what I found was like that he wasn't, and that he was, I think felt almost uncomfortable. I don't think he realized like, how early on in my career I had surpassed what he had done. Like, and that I think is upsetting. Like as a provider, like, you want, I can understand from a perspective of being a provider, like that he may have felt like he failed. And that's put a strain in our relationship. And there's a lot of things also that I didn't go into, but like growing up that I could see him making mistakes, and I tried to explain it to him, and he didn't listen, or he didn't learn from his like mistake that he had made before. And I tried to like be there to guide him, but he didn't want to hear my advice. He viewed himself, because he was my father, as someone who was like, universally correct. He's the type of person who's, I don't want to air him out too bad, but like, it's I think it's hard for him to take some feedback and be, and so I think about like, well, I can be mad at that and annoyed at it, which sometimes I am. But I read a poem once that I got to try and find and send to you, because it really actually brought me peace, and it helped me understand him, which is like, I forget the things sometimes that he went through growing up in his life. Like he had a really terrible upbringing and a really traumatic childhood with his father, and how abusive he was. He then also early in his life, in his 30s, lost his brother. His younger brother was paralyzed from the neck down in a skiing accident, and eventually died not too long later, not shortly thereafter, from the complications of that. And had gone through a bunch of other like really tough things, and then not having himself, that person, that rock of a father to be there for him. So when I look at my dad's shortcomings, or the things that I get upset with him about, I remember that like deep down inside him, the poem puts this beautifully, I have to find it, is like there's just like a little boy in there who like really needs love and a hug. And like that like chokes me up, because I know that's like the source of like a lot of his shortcomings. He didn't have that when he needed it the most. So that doesn't like necessarily make up for the things that I felt like were missing, but it helps me like remember that's what's there. And I always try to like, then I try to be the person who then can give that to him now. So I'm the one who like reaches out. I'm the one who like extends, the hand, and be there for him. But like, I'm also very aware of like the things I didn't get. So I like, to your point, kind of bringing this back to what you were saying about, what you want to do for your children to be present. So I'm like, I don't have to try. It's like, I just want to, because to me, like what I hope to say to Julian and Morgan one day is, loving them and raising them were a big part of healing me. They're as little boys, and so I'm thankful for that.
Of course. And I think that's definitely very tough, because when your parents come on, go about having children or whatnot, I think the main goal is just to provide a better life than what they had.
Yeah.
And it's always kind of tough. And um kind of to what you said about your father, how he has gone through these things. I mean, I've definitely learned some recent things
Yeah.
that my mom and my dad went through, and man, it's just
Yeah.
they were again given the cards that they were dealt, and
Yeah.
they played the best that they could play.
Yeah, and in many ways, like I'm sure maybe your parents the same way. Like my dad is worlds better than his father, and that's how he views. He's like,
Yeah.
you know, I never drank, never was, never, stepped out. I always worked hard. I always kept the house. Like he always took, like, took care of things.
Right.
So in his mind, he's such an improvement.
Yeah.
And then it's kind of ironic that we still view we can only see the shortcomings sometimes.
Yeah. And I do like that poem that you had mentioned about the boy that needs to be loved. Yeah, because I mean, it's not just a thought, it's a reality. We all have that inner child within us.
100%.
We're always carrying that inner child until the day we're gone off of this earth.
Yeah.
So,
hey, give it a hug.
Yeah. I mean, because no one will ever love you more than you love yourself. And if you lack that love for you, it's very tough.
You can't love anything else truly.
Yeah, and for me, it's always been tough because it's been so hard to not be that number one fan for me.
Yeah.
And again, just continuously growing and learning about who I am. I mean, to be who I am in this spot talking to you, I care about myself.
Yeah.
And I couldn't openly admit that for so long.
Yeah.
And just through constant communication, constant self-talk, and changing the verbiage, changing the tone, changing the mood of what was so negative and trying to make it into a positive.
That's hard.
It's so hard. But when you start to have that click to change, oh my God, it's so
the inner monologue changes. And I think CrossFit helps a lot with that because you have to talk positively to yourself when you're going through a tough workout. Like, you have to like kind of trick your brain into like breaking things down and, keeping yourself going. So yeah, I agree. It's so important that inner voice is a positive one. And we all catch ourselves sometimes when we're talking down to ourselves. We can't do that.
No. I mean, I think it also comes down with also fighting the ego side of it.
Sure, yeah, that can take over.
Because I remember my earlier days in CrossFit, I'd always try to compare myself to others. Oh, I gotta compare myself to their strength. I gotta compare myself to their speed. So push a little further, even though I might not be at that same level yet. I might not be at that strength comparison yet. And that's where early on, even though they weren't as severe injuries, they were still injuries, or some things that I said, why did I do that? Why did I do those things? Because now I'm suffering the consequences. I'm unable. So there was a time where I was doing a workout with Katie. And she's freaking...
She's a machine.
She's a machine. So I thought, oh, I am definitely on her level right now. I can totally smoke her out the water. So we did this row snatch type of workout. And after the certain specific either cal distance of row or whatnot, you go and do a snatch, a pretty heavy snatch. And I saw her complete hers, like, oh, I can do it better. I go ahead and do it, and I miss the lift, and I miss it very severely in a way that is
couldn't get off the ground, or you let it dump on you.
I don't know what I
crashed
did with my body, but my feet buckled, did not leave the ground. I kind of tripped or opened my ankle. My ankle stayed glued to the floor. The bar was in the middle of the air, but I didn't fully have it extended. So it was
got to be on video somewhere.
It has to be. Because from what they can recollect of what happened, they thought that I died.
Just crumpled.
And it hit my head. Then I tried to get out of the way. It rolled down my spine. And then I got trapped underneath the bar. And they thought that I broke my neck or I broke my back. something or another was broken. And after it, all I can say was, oh, my ankle. Of all the things,
meanwhile,
of all the
bars
that of all the things that they thought was more severe, it was simply my ankle. I got an ankle sprain. But it was so frustrating because I was out, I was going to the gym, and I was still coaching, but I just couldn't be at that same caliber as I thought I was. So I had to rebuild myself from the ground up again and say, okay, kind of take a step back, let this whatever ego or pride that you're carrying go, and just approach it in a little bit smarter and safer way.
Yeah.
Because you definitely don't want to be in this position where you're not working out constantly.
Yeah. Stupid.
And you're out of commission, essentially.
Yeah. There's a kind of a fine line between, like, you know, it's important to not be afraid of failure. And so, like, I think the mindset shift there is like going into this knowing that you could fail, but not afraid if you do.
Oh my gosh. That has been the biggest challenge of mine since
it's hard.
Who knows how long.
But
it's in a way where I'll sacrifice my body for anything.
Yeah.
And I think maybe that comes from maybe my military background, is that they trained us to the ground and say, hey, there might be a time where you might need to sacrifice yourself for the greater good of someone else.
Yeah, it's heavy.
And in that, I felt that I've carried that along this way. And any physical feat up until now, I mean, even with this marathon training, like, I know that I'm very physically ambitious, that after I'm done with this, I'm going to do a half Ironman. After the half Ironman, I'm going to do a full Ironman. After that, I'm going to do my best to climb Mount Everest. And I know it sounds silly right now, but
do you really want to climb Mount Everest?
Yeah. Oh, wow. And I know it's not going to be an easy thing to do, and it's not going to happen overnight. It's expensive, for one. And there are those big real dangers that people die all the time.
Oh yeah, there's bodies all over the place.
There's bodies all over the place. So even with that being said, I'm ready to keep pushing this vehicle until the wheels fall off. But I'm gonna do my damnedest to keep pushing as best as possible, in a safe manner, as best as possible.
It's like growing the right way versus the fast way. You know?
But aside from that, I can push myself to the limit, and I feel like I still haven't reached my peak when it comes to physical abilities. But in lieu of that, facing failure in the other side of things is my kryptonite. I mean, put myself out there for job opportunities, like, it does stink. I mean, we were talking a little bit earlier where my career path is going, and right now I'm in kind of a lull waiting to hear back from certain organizations. But in the meantime, I'm still trying to put my name out there, still trying to apply to different things, and I'm getting rejected left and right. Things that I'm not eligible for yet, or I just don't qualify. And it does rub me a little bit off, and it does stink, but it's not that impactful to say, all right, I'm going to give up. I'm going to stop looking for jobs because I'm not good for anything. I'm just going to stick to what I know, and that's it. No, I can't take that as acceptable. But then there are some things where I feel, even in my bones, that I'm ineligible for this. I don't think I'm good enough for this. And that's what is keeping me from even trying. Like, there's this one job, and I don't want to say it out loud right now, but there's this one job that I've been just even thinking about applying for like a year and a half now.
What's holding you back? Because you don't want to get rejected?
I think that's the biggest thing, because up until now, I feel as if it's always been an obstacle course or jumping through hoops to try to do these specific things. And when I say specific things,
Like
is
requirements.
just, for instance, trying to go back in the military is active duty. Now that I've gotten out and I have claimed these different disabilities, it's now hard to try to say, hey, I'm in tip-top shape, I can do this. because now it's like going against the word of the doctors, or at the specific time that I got out of how I was feeling at that point. Like at that point when I got all these evaluations, that's what I was truly feeling. But now that I've kind of fixed myself into a more healthy, not only mentality, but physical abilities, I feel ready. But then it's just all these red tape and saying like, oh, sorry, you can't do this. That's what makes it frustrating. So in a similar sense, these other type of jobs that I'm looking to try to apply, and I'm kind of holding myself back, is because I just don't want to keep hearing that that you're no good, that if only you had these qualifications that you can do it. And it stinks to kind of hear that.
Of course it is.
And those are the times where I say to myself, well, don't even try, because you're just going to get a rejection. And that kind of speaks true to even my personal romantic life. What's the point of asking this girl out? You're just going to get rejected. You're not. And then that's where that negative talk comes from. Like, and I've been talking myself so positively up until this point, but when it comes to that type of more personal, intimate things, that
still there.
Either I'm showing my worth in a career, or I'm showing my worth in a relationship type of aspect, that's where I say to myself, what's the point?
But like, I mean, let's take relationships for a second. You've got great relationships with many people in the gym, and you do great with those things. So you should feel very positive about your ability to maintain really strong relationships. And so like, that's crazy. On the work front, it's like, look, you could avoid the thing, or you could just jump in, and like, who knows where you'll be a year from now. It'll lead you somewhere else, even if it's like, a direction that you weren't anticipating at that moment, or you're not getting what you want to hear. You have to go through those things. You have to put yourself out there. It's like everything else. It's like, if you're willing to sacrifice your body, continue to sacrifice your emotions a little bit, for finding out what really inspires you. And it's hard. I mean, it is hard to but like the important thing is, like, none of those things should define you. They're just, it's just the job, especially like a career. Like, and I think like I've allowed my career to define me a little bit too much sometimes. And so I have to like rein myself in when I'm getting disappointed about, if something's not going the way that I want it to. It's like, it doesn't define me. It's business. And I need to like continue to press on and remember who I am and like why I do what I do, and all that good stuff. And the things more important than that.
Right. That's
as much
interesting.
Yeah.
Because that's what, my friend Chris also has told me about this job that I'm applying for, or been waiting to apply for, because there is a potential position that I can do that would be a little bit of what you kind of said, kind of a segue into what I would like to do. There is the, I guess, internal conflict that I have is saying, okay, so I put in, let's say, 5 years through the job that I don't necessarily want to then maybe get me into a job that I would most likely do. And it's just that internal conflict, and kind of what you said, don't let it define who you are. It's just a job.
It's just a job. And not to cut you off, but like, what's the alternative is like not doing it. Like, so I can't, sorry, I was just like covering the mic up. I took a step back from managing, I was managing a big business over at Hewlett Packard, and then went to the startup and built something there. And like, then I had an opportunity to really get into software, which is where I've been for the last, like decade. But it meant I had to take a step back in what I was doing, like level-wise, significantly. But I could see what the future could potentially be. So my recommendation, advice is like, I don't know exactly what the job is and the parameters, but the thing that I think is important for you is like, continue to make bets on yourself, because like of the resilience that you've built and the strength that you have inside of you, and your ability to visualize what you want. So like, if that role could lead to the thing that you ultimately want to do, maybe it's worth considering. And you just, you'll figure that out.
Got to take a chance.
Yeah, you got to.
And I think that is the next kind of chapter or venture.
And dude, look, you've got no family, you've got no kids.
And that's the thing,
you're free as a bird. Let's
I
go.
am.
What are you doing?
What are we
Let's
doing?
get fired up. Like, let's just jump in, man. Like, yeah. So
No, I appreciate that. And
yeah,
it's good to
and,
kind of get that perspective
yeah,
because me personally, I've always looked to others as family or like people who know, same thing, people who know more than me or have
yeah,
gone through different experiences other than what I've gone through. So I always value that. So having different perspectives or having just different people tell me, get off your ass
yeah.
and just
Just
do it.
go. Just go.
I mean, my buddy Chris, he tells me all the time, but I think at some point I'm done telling you.
Yeah,
You're
gotta
gonna have
do
to
it.
do it. You're
I
gonna
live
have to do it.
in my first house that I bought. I had a high school buddy living with me, and I helped him get into my industry. And at the time, this is when it was pre-COVID. This was like 2011, 2012. And I was out the door every morning at 7 a.m. commuting into the city. I was back at 7 at night, and I helped him get this job. And he was new in software and sales and stuff like that. And every morning when I came home, he was sitting at his little desk. And every night that I came back, he was sitting at his little desk. And again, this is a time in the world where you went out and met and had meetings with people, especially if you're in sales. And after like 3 weeks, I came home one night. I'm like, dude, what the fuck are you doing still sitting here? I've been doing this for a month. He's like, well, I want to make sure that, and I'm like checking this report. I'm like, get off your ass and go meet with your clients and get just in front of them and start creating the news. Don't deliver what you're hearing. And he's like, to this day, that's like the best advice he ever heard.
Yeah.
Like, go, and I tell this to anyone who works for me is like, just go run into the world. Go like bump into it and break stuff and make things happen and go be active. And that will give you the experiences to be successful. So
I like that.
yeah,
I definitely like that.
just go run into it.
All right, so we're kind of bringing this conversation to a close, but I can definitely relate to your softer side because I mean, from different conversations that we had in the past,
Yeah.
I didn't really think that you had a soft side.
Really?
Yeah, because when I first met you and up until we've kind of broke bread and shared
Yeah.
in experiences, I always thought you had this callousness about you.
Interesting.
But
I think it's my resting bitch face. I have a little bit of that.
maybe. But there was a question I put on the board, and I don't know if you wrote this, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. But I wrote a question on the board like I've been doing weekly.
Yeah.
And it was, what's an important life skill to have?
Mm-hmm.
And I think you might have put
choosing a life partner.
Choosing the right
life partner.
The right life partner.
Yes.
So can you go a little bit more in detail on that, what that means and why it's so important to have?
Yes. I'll start with why it's so important to have. Because like really building a life together and a relationship is and a future is like this is the person that you're like you're at least in my mind, like you're gonna go tackle the world with. And so life partner means like, we're in this together no matter what. And that means like we're gonna have ups and we're gonna have downs and disagreements but also like amazing things. But like we're gonna stick through this. Like my commitment is like we're sticking through this no matter what. And I think that is something that people forget sometimes. And it's not easy. But it's like the thing that creates, if you can do that, it's the thing that creates sanctuary. And like in life, you need a sanctuary. You need a place that's your den that you can come back to and relax and feel relieved to. I think for whether you're a man or a woman or whatever, like you need your home to be a place of like love and warmth and stability and nurturing and all of those things. And I think like, having a life partner means like that person contributes to that in an extremely meaningful way. And so do you. And I think it means that, you're always looking out for that person's best interest and you're being honest with them and they honest with you, even if you don't like it. and they're being your mirror of reflection and accountability, and someone that you can be truly honest and open with, and can call you out on your bullshit, but someone that's always going to like have your back, and like so creating that foundation so that you can go through life together, because we're not going to all be here forever, unfortunately. And so it's really nice to have someone you can do that, go through life together with. And so choosing the right person is another, like, I bring it back to visualization. Like, what is this person, how's this person functioning in your life, in your ideal world? And so and that's different for everybody. But I was pretty clear on like, there was like the sort of logical like side of it. And then there was like the side that I had no control over. And I'll kind of explain what I mean. But I knew, like, when I was dating, like, I had like some criteria in my mind, things that were important to me. And, I felt like as a man, and this is probably controversial, I felt like a lot of, women I were dating, like, had an agenda, like kind of viewed me as a vessel to, like, things that they wanted, which maybe weren't bad things, but I didn't like that feeling. I didn't like the feeling as though I was just being like, okay, I need stability, I need money, I want kids. Like, to me, a life partner is someone like where like there's no guarantees. Like we're together because we want to be, and like we're gonna have to figure it out together. But like, so most of my relationships I viewed through the lens of like, does someone have an agenda here, or do they really like me for me? And like that, and it's authentic and real. And like, you just take time to feel those things out with people. And even there were moments. And so like, okay, so there might have been those types of relationships where that existed, like where I felt like this person was authentic, but it was missing something else for me, like maybe more on the romantic side. And I was like confident enough to know that like, there's, enough people in the world that like, eventually I'll find what works for me. And I didn't know how I would find it or how it would present itself to me. But the moment that I saw my wife, I like was like, I'm marrying this person. It was like that, like it was, I swear to God. And like, I felt so vulnerable. I was like, shit.
Immediately.
I knew fucking immediately. I was like, shit.
Wow.
I was like, I'm screwed. Like in like a joking way. It was great, in a great way. But I had never been in that position emotionally before, where like, so 3 months into the relationship, we're sitting at my house. We had dinner. We're just like sitting in my living room. It's quiet, no TV's on. I'm just like having a conversation. And I'm like, listen, I gotta like say something here. I was like, I fucking love you, like whatever. Like, whoa,
I threw it out.
Whoa,
I could on the first day.
No, 3 months in.
Oh, 3
months in. But I was feeling it for a while. Yeah. I was like, I was like, oh, like this, like, I was like that thing in your stomach.
And she hadn't said it.
And she hadn't said it. And I'd never been in a position where I had said it first. And she's like, all right. And her response was like, okay, cool. I was like, oh no.
Dang.
I was like,
I'll wear it. I'll pack my bags.
Yeah, I was like,
for the meal.
I was like, okay, well, we were at my house. I was like, I guess, cool. Like, no, but we like kind of laughed about it. She's like, okay, that's great. Now, if you asked her, she'd be like, oh, she felt the same way, but she was trying to play it cool. But I think that like, so there was like it was the combination of like feeling like this person was, independent and didn't have an agenda and just liked me for me. And then like the thing that I couldn't control, which was this sort of like unique attraction. And Erica claims that also existed for her. Like the moment she saw me, she felt the same way. Like, oh, this is someone.
But you had to hold yourself off for 3 months.
It was hard, man. It was so brutal. Cause like we started dating, and then she was in Europe for like 2 weeks, like all over the world, which just, I didn't miss her. And like, she's with her family having this great time. And I was like, I felt so removed from her. There was like this really draw. And then when she got back, I was like, listen, I need you to know something. And that's like persisted. Like it's just kind of continued to grow, and mature and get even deeper and better. And I'm so thankful for that. So like, be mindful of, who you spend your time with, and who you, and be honest with yourself on like how you're feeling about things. Like trust your instincts, trust your gut, know what you want, out of life and what you think the future with a person looks like, and stick to those things. But don't resist life coming at you like it did.
Right.
Because like that could scare you. It scared the shit out of me. I was like, all right, I'm cool. Deep breath. Like we're good. Like, just kept going with it.
Right.
And the best decision I ever made.
Wow.
So yeah.
That's awesome, man.
So it's like, yeah, it'll be 11 years this October.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
congratulations.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
And aside from having that kind of instantaneous mutual
Response.
feeling, response for one another, what do you think has helped keep you together for so long, for 11 years?
Yeah. Well, I think we just, we really care about each other, really love each other, very attracted to each other, obviously, that's important. And I think we like really respect each other and admire each other in different ways. I think Erica admires things about me, and I admire a ton about her. I mean, she's got the best, like, she's an incredible judge of character. She's extremely intelligent. She is got like an unbelievable moral compass. And those are things that like I just like admire about her, and she's been through like incredible things herself, and she's just like done so many amazing things. I really admire her, like, her incredibly strong. She's a really strong character. It's really, that she built herself. There's no, like, there is no fakeness to her. She is like as real as it comes, and I really admire that. And yeah, I think we just complement each other in ways that we both really appreciate.
Yeah. Wow. That's really awesome.
Yeah. Thanks, dude.
So, I have one final question for you. I've asked someone this before earlier today, and I'm curious on what your response would be. Maybe if it's similar, or maybe dissimilar, but here goes. Let's say tomorrow is your last day.
On Earth? Like I'm going to die tomorrow?
Yeah.
Okay.
What do you want to be known for? What does Chris Mangakis want to be known for?
Honestly, just being a great dad and a great husband. That's all that matters, man. None of this other stuff. This is just a result of, like, of hard work and things, but they don't matter. Like, just, a dedicated father and husband. It's honestly all I like, that my boys always felt that they can count on me, that they love me, that they could always, my wife could count on me as being, a father and a provider, and, someone who could take, just be responsible for the family. Like, that's all that matters.
Wow. Man, what an incredible episode and conversation I had with Chris. I really appreciate him opening up and sharing his family story, his mindset, and his power of visualization. If you liked this episode, please follow the show. And if you've watched this episode, please subscribe and like as well. I'm so excited as we introduce this new video space to the show. As always, please follow, subscribe, and share this episode to anyone you might think could use this helpful information. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you on the next one. As always, keep sharpening the axe.